Greetings Internet, Didier here, and welcome to another Star Wars Unlimited video that we have bringing to you. This time we have two brand new decks that were built by me and my friend Dave. Well, not both decks were built by us. Dave has built us and brought us today the new hotness Chancellor Palpatine that is causing a lot of conundrums in the community because this is definitely one of the leaders that is the hardest to build, I would say, just because you are forced to use both light side and dark side cards. Not only that, but also sequence them in a certain order to enable your flipping. Very difficult to build, very difficult to play, but he's put in a lot of reps on this leader, and we're going to see that in this upcoming match. Myself, I'm on Anakin Skywalker, a very similar list to the mono red list that I put out with some changes. I actually posted on the video the changes that I made. A few changes just to make it a little bit smoother and make the curve out. Obviously, also, people have been commenting that I missed Bravado in the deck, and I definitely added Bravado into the deck to push out extra damage. So we are going to see a lot of cool plays here in this upcoming game. Looks like Chancellor is starting out with initiative and dropping down the Queel, and I am responding with my A-Wing in the air. Starting out strong here with 3 damage. Of course, Chancellor Palpatine always wants to play a hero card as his first card, because in order to flip to his dark side, a heroism unit of yours has to be defeated. Chancellor Palpatine, very interesting because he gets that 2 damage attrition, shooting out the Queel here, getting the Queel draw. That's the other thing about Chancellor Palpatine is you get a crazy amount of card draw. You draw every time you, I think, flip from your hero side. But yeah, you get a crazy amount of draw in this game. Just in general, giving you options. I really like what they did with that leader because the sequencing of his cards is so difficult that the draw kind of feeds into that and enables you to sequence perfectly. So really glad that they did. I think they designed him really well, having each side create kind of a 2 damage swing for you, either healing 2 or dealing 2 to the base. I'm going to shoot out my Fighters for Freedom, and he is going to follow up with a Phase 2 Clone Trooper, again killing that heroism unit in order enabling him to flip to the dark side, healing 2 damage from his base. So I do have my Fighters down, which is great for me because this is a mono red deck. Of course, every single card I'm going to play is red. I think actually every single card in the deck is red, so every card I play is going to deal an additional damage. So big decision here of what I'm going to do with this Fighters. I assume that he's going to kill my Fighters with Queel. So of course I'm going to go into the base, deal an extra 3 damage. Chancellor Palpatine, Darth Sidious. He makes you feel like you're not making progress against him. I think one of the biggest mistakes you could make against Palpatine / Darth Sidious is not going for the base. Like if you think, oh, he's healing, he's drawing a lot, I want to play this controller game. If you try to out-control Darth Sidious, I think you just straight up lose. And we actually played a few pickup games prior to recording this match. So we were kind of learning how we each sequence our plays with these decks. I actually lost both of the pickup games starting out here to practice before we turned on the camera. So not the greatest play here with aggression on 4. I don't think I had any other 4 play. I stood up, my A-Wing in order to push in extra damage. Thinking about my second mode here, because I'm not really concerned about unit trade, so I'm actually going to draw a card there. Because again, not really concerned about the units that he has on the field. I just want to push damage, and I'm not liking my hand, so I wanted to draw that card. Dealing extra damage with the A-Wing. Morgan Elsbeth is very, very strong in this deck. Gives you a draw engine with that clone engine that Chancellor Palpatine has. Dave and I were actually talking after this match about how he could better utilize the clones. And I think the best version of the Chancellor Palpatine deck out there does make a lot, uses the clone engine that he creates as not only extra damage, but also a resource like Elsbeth does here with the drawing. But the thing about it is, Chancellor Palpatine is already drawing a lot, so do you really need extra drawing? Give and take there. But yeah, so just kind of showing again how very difficult Chancellor Palpatine is to draw. But we are going to see the exploit here, shooting out the Patrol Chopper or something. I don't remember the name of that, but he is bouncing my A-Wing. Great play here from Dave. Just slowing my damage. Again, he wants the game to last long as possible. More turns means more flips, and more flips means more damage, more healing, more drawing, and more clones. So that is what Chancellor Palpatine wants. Flipping, lots of flippage. Shooting out the red 3 here, just trying to go straight into space. Now that that space unit that he dropped, that 3-2, is really good into A-Wing. It kills A-Wing and survives. I know that, so I'm definitely going to be playing around that going into this next upcoming turn. Damage seems pretty even. Pretty even overall, actually, on both sides. But, of course, Chancellor Palpatine doesn't have a unit, doesn't have a flip unit side. So once I flip my leader, that's when things are going to really start pushing to my side of things. I'm not really using Anakin ability. I'm not really in a position to use Anakin ability at all. He's playing a very control-y slow game against me, as he should. So I'm not really in a position to use Anakin ability, and I think this is going to be a challenge to a lot of Anakin decks. That against in the control matchup, we're gonna have a near blank leader, not because it's not good, but because you're not really gonna want to attack units. So sending 4 damage into the base there with my red 3 A-Wing, so I think the reason I did that is because if I attacked with the red 3 there, he kills the A-Wing, saves damage, and saves his unit. And then he actually ends up getting both red 3 and A-Wing with that single unit. So that's why I kind of just took the A-Wing damage, knowing that the best trade for me is him to kill red 3 and kill his own unit. Because the alternative is him getting both units. So that's why I did that there. Dropping down the Fighters for Freedom, of course, pushing as much damage as I can, knowing that he survives the attack from Elsbeth there. So we'll have to see what comes out. Yep, doing the Power of the Dark Side. Of course, I'm going to get rid of my A-Wing because I want the extra ping damage. And then he played that Power of the Dark Side in order to flip this turn. Because, of course, the Darth Sidious side flips when you play a villainy card. So you have to play a villainy card on the villainy side to flip, and then you have to defeat a heroism unit to flip on the hero side. So coming in here for 6 damage with Anakin, doing strong plays. Darth Sidious does push damage because of the 2 damage pings. So even though he is a control deck, he is incrementally damaging me, which is helping me with my Anakin Skywalker ability. So even in this kind of slow control matchup, you can see Anakin still comes out and hits for 6, which is very strong. Flipping Chancellor Palpatine here, creating a clone, and I should have dealt 2 damage there to my base, I think. I think I forgot that. We'll have to see if that matters in the end. But firing out the Bravado here, we were actually unsure if I would have gotten the 3-cost Bravado because he attacked my unit and defeated his own unit. But we did look it up during the match. You'll see in a second here that I pulled out my phone and looked up the ruling just to make sure that we played it correctly. It is how Bravado works. As long as your unit is responsible, or one of your cards is responsible for defeating of an opponent's unit, then you get the 3-cost Bravado. You can see there I'm looking up the ruling just to make sure. But yep, so Anakin coming in for a strong 12 damage here on the flip turn, getting him all the way to 22. Now, I could have killed Yoda. I could have killed Morgana, but I'm really trying to push the damage here and forcing him into, claiming early and losing tempo against me. Because that's what you kind of need to do against the control decks. If you let them sit too long and play out all their actions, they will out-attrition you. You need to push them to a place where they are forcing the claim because they have too much damage. Like, if you would claim and get the first action and just one-shot them, that's when things get kind of scary for the control deck. And that's what I'm trying to do here, getting him all the way up to 22. So even though he has Restore 3 on the field, I'm thinking I just leave it there for now, in order to just push extra damage and try to put him in that poor tempo position. So coming in here with Morgana again, getting that 1 restore and 3 damage, hitting the fighters for freedom. This is actually a great play by him because he's forcing me. I figure he is going to drop a Sentinel here because he is on the light side. He could drop a Chancellor for 6. And with all of the card draw that Chancellor gets, he likely will get the full value out of the Chancellor, the 6/6. So that would be a huge damage save for him here. Having that Yoda on the field as well start to catch up in damage. So this puts me in a hard spot. I could save the fighters for the Saboteur, but I know he's going to kill it with his Trooper. Or I could save the Anakin, but if he drops a Sentinel, then that is my problem. So I'm going to decide to go in with the Anakin, or not, or yes, I'm going to go in with Anakin, get the 6 damage in while I can. Again, putting him in that position to take extra damage. So I think here's another mistake. So we're both making a mistake because I think, he restored 3 there instead of 2. We'll have to see if that matters. So I should have 2 more damage on my base. He should have 1 more damage on his base. Dropping down the Wild Rancor here, taking out Yoda and a Clone Trooper and doing a little extra damage to Morgana. So Morgana would be dead right now if I did that 4 damage to her. Relevant or not, we'll have to see. But I did get that card draw, so who knows what I would have been able to do if I didn't dig a little bit further in my deck. I had a pretty poor opening hand with this deck, so flipping Darth Sidious again to heal 2 and draw. So lots of options in Dave's hand over there. Doing the takedown on Anakin, pretty good play there. Take out that extra damage. Of course, Wild Rank, and then the power of the dark side. Completely clear the board. Really strong there. So we'll have to see. Like, this is the part. Control versus mid-range aggro. Like, this is a pretty low to the ground mid-range deck. It definitely pushes a lot of damage. It is still mid-range, but the Anakin deck is still mid-range. But it does push a ton of damage. So this is the classic tension between aggro and any sort of low to the ground deck. When you get them up to the mid to upper 20s, and then you just kind of stall out, right? This is it right here. This is the highlight of the match, because this turn is basically going to decide the game. Because if he is able to stabilize any further than he already has, he pretty much has this game in the bag. With that continual healing and 2 damage, he always has healing to fall back on. So shooting out the Anakin's Interceptor, being responded to with the Saxon clan, the Clan Saxon ship. Thinking about the K2 because of the guaranteed damage, but actually instead going to go for the Poe Dameron just to push out stronger value. We'll have to see which one of those was the better play. At this stage in the game, potentially K2 would have been the better play, but we'll have to see. So he's going to early claim. And then, obviously, because Poe is threatening the 8 damage to base for the 1-shot, He had to claim there. And this is kind of what I'm talking about pushing that damage. He wasn't able to swing with Morgana there and get that one restore because I threatened 8 damage with Poe. So even if he restored 1 and didn't die from one shot from Poe, being 1 damage away from death is far too scary for someone to deal with. So dropping down the Chancellor here, obviously going to get the +4/+4, probably just choosing what to reveal. Yep. So getting the +4/+4, great answer to Poe. Actually, I didn't even think that I could discard a card and save and kill an experience to save Poe. I don't think it would have mattered because based on what I know is coming next. But that's an interesting play there that you can do with Poe. Kill a Chancellor experience, reduce the damage to your Poe so you would survive. I don't do that here, but definitely worth considering in the future for those listeners and viewers out there. But firing out the Poe and going to actually 2 damage ping to Morgana because I feel like I feel this game flipping. I'm now playing a little bit more control-y instead of dealing the damage to the base. I am going for a control play and clearing the board. I don't want him to get that extra restore. Firing out the Gorilla Attack Pod ready, and he shoots down another Yoda. Yoda just showing the insane value. So here again, we're about to see again, because of the high damage on his base, we are in a position where he can't really do what he wants. Because I'm going to get him to 26, and he would want to swing with his gauntlet ship in space, but he can't. He has to claim here because I'm threatening lethal with the Gorilla Attack Pod. I could have killed the Yoda, but I think I wanted to save the 4 damage on my base, because I noticed he was getting me up there, and the last thing I need is for him to like one-shot me with a late game space unit or like an Avenger or something like that. I'm so close to killing him, I need to get in that damage. Dropping down Jesse. Of course, Jesse is very, very strong in the late game because tempo matters in the late game. And unless the opponent is exploiting out a huge, like, 8 or 9, like, gore or something like that, the tempo is not worth attacking with those battle droids. Dropping down Supreme Leader Snoke, can barely see that on the top of the camera there, but Supreme Leader Snoke puts me in a precarious situation here. Yeah, it's really tough. So if I had 15 damage on the base, I could potentially... Actually, that's interesting, because if I took that extra 2 damage, I could have potentially used Anakin power and then kill that Gar Saxon gauntlet in space, because then the Anakin's Interceptor would have extra damage. But I am going to use Anakin ability here, thinking about Jesse into the Yoda to stop the heal. But then my good friend Dave let me know that Jesse would die because of Snoke. So here's the situation that we're in. Of course, we're playing a friendly game here. We're testing out, and so we're allowing a little bit of takesy-backsies here. Just because it's always good when you're testing out these new strategies and you're not in a competitive environment to let your opponent kind of play the most ideal lines that they have, so that way you can test out limits of the deck and limits of what you're doing. So a little bit of a takesy-backsy here, just trying to decide what my best line is with that Snoke on the board. Jesse is threatening 5 damage, which would be game, but sadly is only 3. If I do the 3 damage to base, I get him to 29, but then Yoda is able to heal 2, and then I can't kill with Gorilla Attack Pod, right? Because Gorilla Attack Pod only has 2 damage right now. Unfortunate. So, what do we do in this situation? This is a tough call. Anakin ability is helping me out here because it's actually allowing me to be able to kill that Yoda. I don't want him to have Yoda. He's already going to heal 2 with his Chancellor Palpatine this turn. So yep, we are going to Anakin power into Yoda, making the Gorilla Attack Pod a little stronger, and then taking his ability to restore with Yoda. So, obviously taking out the Jesse before I'm able to push in that extra damage. And shooting down the Anakin Skywalker. 4-4 for 5. Not bad. Still got those 2 battle droids. So we'll have to see what he uses those for. Doing the Chancellor flip. Healing 2. This is not looking great for me. This is really, really close. 24. So remember, he should have 1 more damage. He should be at 25 right now. I should be at 16. So this is the wire. This is the game right here. Doing twice the pride on Anakin. Pushing lethal. This is risky. Pushing lethal, but I think this is like my only play here. Like, this is my only line to win. Because I know his battle droids are going to take out one of those units. And Anakin doesn't have enough power to end the game. Right, it's 4 damage. Right, so I guess in my eyes, I was thinking... Right, oh, because Guerrilla Attack Pod can actually answer Snoke, potentially next turn. So I was thinking, okay, well, I will just threaten lethal, because I wasn't threatening lethal with Guerrilla Attack Pod. Threaten lethal, and then force the trade, so I could get initiative and potentially end the game. And then there it is, right there. There's the lethal, exact lethal that I needed. Really, really great game here from both players, showing the power of Darth Sidious, Chancellor Palpatine. Doesn't have a unit flip, but the attrition, the healing, the 2 damage to base, and the card draw, definitely going to be one of the most interesting leaders to play and build. So if you like this video, please hit that like button. Please hit subscribe for all the best gaming guides and content. And as always, turn your dial to Random Number Gaming.